looking forward to coming back and talking a little bit more about that move that I just recently went through and the stress. And I'm glad that you're listening to this live presentation. So I'm going to be talking about the three different things that you can do in your life in order to really have and be happy, have a better life, be healthier, because you're reducing your stress, you're managing the stress, you're allowing yourself to think happier thoughts, be focused on the positive rather than the negative. So the story is that, where I was moving, and I have a person in my life that is the end all to be all, and I want her to be able to enjoy the same things that I'm enjoying. So the first part of the process was talking about the past baggage. Well, on my side. So I have moved every 2 years for the past 8 years. So I've trimmed down. I have learned that physical possessions are not all that. You can get by with them. Yeah, but they're not that important in your life. And also I happen to have had a fire in my house, and that really put into perspective exactly how important stuff was. I lost a bunch of stuff, and some of it was pretty cool stuff. And I realized that in the blink of an eye, your stuff's gone. And I'm sure that people that are watching this, you've had things stolen. Your favorite gun, your favorite piece of jewelry, your heart's been broken over it. Well, it's just stuff. Well, because I've moved, trimmed down, I don't have the same attachment to physical things. She did. She had not moved in 14 years. She probably moved with a couple of cases of beer and a U-Haul, and that was pretty much it. But the point I'm driving at is that she was attached to a lot of stuff, and it was dead people's stuff. It wasn't her stuff. She inherited this stuff, so there's still this emotional attachment. So I am decluttering. I am going through the process of packing, and I'm okay. It doesn't matter. That immediately sets up conflict. And if I wanted that conflict to turn into a scar and then allow that scar to be there and destroy the relationship, sure, I could have gone for it. But one of the things that came out of it was, what is the expectation? I had an expectation, you're going to get rid of this stuff. The expectation wasn't that expectation. She didn't have that expectation. She was going to be taking a lot of this stuff with her. Reality is that we were able to get rid of a tremendous amount of stuff. And yeah, there was a lot of emotions going on when some of that stuff had to be released. So the other part of those past baggage is contracts. As soon as you start dating, there are contracts. You have a male role, you have a female role, you have a parent role, you have a child role, and some of these roles and contracts are not written. They are unknown. So I have contracts placed on me that I didn't even know about. She has contracts placed on her that she didn't even know about. So as we're going along and talking about these things, then it comes out where in the relationship are the areas that are like cattywampus and obtuse. And reality is that you better fix them, because if there's a scar, or it gets injected in there and gets a little pustulous, you're going to have a bad day, and it's going to erupt a number of times, and it's not fun, and your health will hurt. And I'll give you the best example going. All right, so I mentioned before, I had moved 4 times, once every 2 years, on an average. And I had done it by myself. I was in other relationships, but I didn't have to move anybody else's stuff. So I'd pack it, get it ready, call the guys that were going to be the laborers that were going to load it into the truck and unload it into where I was going, and voila, everything was going to be peaches and cream. It was just going to be a hard day of labor and a lot of sweat and Gatorade, and everything was going to be great, low stress. I'm packing stuff. I'm now packing his, hers, and theirs. And I'm become very angry. I am just pissed off as I'm going through this stuff. And I soon realized that after a couple of these sessions, hey, my health is going through the toilet because my blood pressure's up. I'm eating junk food. I am not taking care and being aware of my environment for sharp objects, for razor blades that I'm using to cut the tape, or the tape machine. Or my point is, I'm not being safe. I'm not taking care of my back. Now I will have health issues besides having moving issues. Where I'm going with this is that anger is tied to a lot of how you eat, what you eat, how you feel, whether or not your blood pressure. So what happened was is I realized that my past baggage was in a prior move when I was in a relationship with somebody else, and I did not do what I'm telling you I did and what I'm coaching you to do. So best thing that happened is that the lines of communication stayed open. That doesn't mean that there weren't a lot of gnashing of teeth, a lot of stamping of feet, a lot of crossed arms, crossed legs, crossed eyes. There were some harsh words, and there was not any ultimatums, but there was black lines, and I'm not gonna, and realize that when you spend the time communicating, what happens is that you actually go back to the backstory and figure out exactly what's happening. And then that way you're able to manage yourself, manage your emotions, keep everything on an even keel, breathe, be able to think through what's going on and not get tied up in the you should and the judgment, because it won't work. So the place gets packed. We have certain expectations. We have to hit a deadline. There can't be any breakage. We have a storage unit. We have to get labor to load the truck and unload the truck. We have expectations of people coming in and helping us. We have expectations of things getting sold. And you can see that a lot of stuff goes on beyond us that we don't have any control over. So the next part of this three-part method is understanding what is your responsibility and doing it, and being true to what your word is. And stuff's going to happen. It's just going to happen. One of the storage units that I signed up with, they canceled on me. I had laborers that showed up on time, did their job. It was fabulous. Got no complaints. All right, so what happens is that when we actually started communicating, the best communication was focus. Focus on the subject. Don't be watching the squirrels and going down that path. What is the goal? The goal was always to talk about the move. What were the expectations of the move? Where were we in the process of moving? What were the items that needed to be done? How are they going to be done? Who was going to do them? So you have an agenda, and you're not chasing and bringing up stuff in the past that has no bearing in reality. The other thing is that if you are listening, you need to be nodding your head. You need to be looking at the individual. You need to be breathing and breathing deeply. You need to repeat what you heard often so that you know that you're on the same page and communicating that the other person is on the same page. You can't have distractions. No TV, no kids. The dog has to be managed. And more importantly, no drugs, no alcohol. I will agree that there were lots of conversations that had a little bit of alcohol involved in them. And reality was those discussions didn't go very well. And that's where the foot stomping and the teeth gnashing came in. But when we were clear-headed and focused on what the goals were and what the expectations were, and all the cards were laid out on the table, man, it was peaches and cream. It went really well. So what was the reality? Reality was, drum roll, the reality was it went off. Nobody died. The focus for me was nobody dies. If I have to leave stuff in Atlanta that didn't get packed on the truck because I didn't pack it, because who cares who packed it? or it was just a weird piece and we couldn't figure out how to get it on the truck, it doesn't matter. Did stuff get broken? My grill's lid got crushed, and I am crushed. No big deal. Stuff falls through the crack. The labor showed up, people showed up, it went well, it wasn't packed the way I wanted it, but who cares? It got packed. We didn't fill it all the way up. We have to make another trip to go get some more stuff. That's great. But understand that as long as we talked about it, we made decisions, this is what our plan is now, because reality comes in. Your expectations and what your idea is done in a vacuum. And as soon as you add a human being into this vacuum, it explodes and goes crazy. So my point is that reality, yeah, nobody died. Nobody got arrested. All the valuables that were truly valuable, the money, the guns, the other important papers, all made it. I know where they're at. That's even more important. So the scar tissue, there was very little scar tissue out of this particular event. There's not even a decent story coming out of this event because we managed it correctly. What we did was we set up the expectation, we communicated, and then we kept focusing on what's the bottom line. This is how you're going to be happier in relationships. I'm going to be talking about your health. I'm going to be talking about relationships, communication, emotional control. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different subjects on these lives periodically. And I'm also got this new group that's coming up. And I'd like you to go and check it out. It's a new group, so there's not anybody right now. And I'll be doing trainings there in that group once you're admitted. And understand that I'm only going to admit people days before training, and then you'll be in the group and start seeing what's going on. So if you're interested in learning more about this and you think that the subject matter that I'm giving you has quality and it's entertaining and it is something that you'd like to implement in your life, yes, go to the link in the comments there, check it out, ask to join. I'll be glad to have you. And you have a great day. I'm looking forward to talking to you again.